Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Sorry that it's been so long since the last upload. Things have been very busy this summer for me. But I'm back with Vezalius Bandage, Vox Akuma, Heavy Lies the Head. Now, a lot of you guys have been recommending that I check out more NIJI encounter stuff, so I'm excited about this. Let's hit play in 3, 2, 1, play. Okay, very base heavy. Okay.
Taking what I need, babe. Living sin, I'm living green, babe. Do what I want to. Keep
Huh.
it real low. Living in a dream, babe.
Okay.
Living life, have a sleep. All the world's going crazy over numbers.
Okay, this is interesting. I did not expect that much vocal effect on his voice there. Um it's been a while. It's since I like heard Vox speak or anything. I don't really keep up with all their streams and stuff. So I don't know how much his voice changes here compared to like just his normal speaking voice, but it sounds very like strange. This kind of sounds like a color vocal that you would add, kind of like in you're in like Billie Eilish, like Bad Guy, the like distorted vocal, or like some Imagine Dragon song. I'm trying to think like which ones, where they add like a little bit of like a color vocal that's like a down low, bassy, distorted. I would not have expected it for a main vocal, but it doesn't sound awful, but it is a very like off-putting as an introductory track.
Life, have a sleep. All the world's going crazy over numbers. Living in a dream, babe. Pray watch over us
Okay.
and deliver us to the truth.
All right, he's covering it like that poppy, melodic, high-pitched vocal. Nice, nice. That's good. That's a fun melody. Mm. That's interesting right there. Because I'm assuming that was kind of either like the chorus or at least like we might get like the like true chorus after the segment because he said the thing. But I'm interested in how we're kind of matching the synth there on that rise. It feels like the synth maybe goes just a little too long through the vocal. I think the synth should like build up to the vocal, but I like that we're matching the instrumentation there on that transition.
So heavy lies the head that wears the crown.
Hmm.
Heavy lies the head I feel now.
Nice support vocal.
Heavy lies the head that wears the crown.
Nice, I like that.
Gandhi was a king, was a master. Chaos on the wind, disaster. Faith on a hill, moving all wheels.
I don't know if I like this.
Keep on dancing, keep on prancing. Yeah,
Mm.
sword striking. Devils moving lines, keep fighting that fight.
I think they did a good job by introducing that like those classic hi-hats that you use for like every like switch up into a rap segment. But I do think that we needed a little more room, I think, to for this to be introduced. I think we should have had a little bit more of a continuation because I don't feel too connected to main melody yet, and we are like halfway through the song. And part of that is also on a second listen, third listen, I might like be like, okay, yeah, they had this down, but I don't think that the at least the instrumentation side of things is matching the vocals here. Um, However, big however, I do think that they played really well to the mix in terms of cleaning up Fox's vocal here. I think it was very smart to give him more of a spotlight rather than just using him as like a support for Vez. But yeah, let's listen to some more.
Was a king, was a master. Chaos on the wind, disaster. Faith on a hill, moving all wheels. We all should perform a keep on dancing, keep on prancing. Yeah, sword striking. Devils moving lines. Keep fighting that fight. Pray watch over us
Hmm.
and deliver.
I want a little bit more transition there, especially since we had like so much focus on the transition earlier with the synth coming in matching Vezalius's vocals there. I would have liked a little bit more of a smoother transition, but I am nitpicking. This isn't a big problem, but it's just like some nitpicks I have. Overall, I think they're doing a pretty good job. They are like definitely trying to create that dichotomy between Vox's like a lower intensity and Vezalius is like a more melodic, open projection, belting that out.
Moving lines. Keep fighting that fight. Pray watch over us and deliver us to the truth. Pray deliver us.
Nice.
So deliver
He's got to go higher now, right?
the truth.
No. Okay. No, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so I was expecting him to shoot up high because, the first line through that, the deliver us, and then he kind of hits that truth, but he relies on that to kind of like get that higher pitch to really feel like you fulfilled that progression there. I think they didn't do that on the second go around, but what they did do is they lifted it up high on the transition, which kind of fills in that little vacuum of like higher pitch melody that you're expecting. Um, and I think that's smart. I think that's very smart. But I want them to. I want to hear Vezalius kind of go up and project up high on that line, specifically on that truth. Oh sorry. I think it was right here. Yeah.
And deliver us to the truth. Pray deliver us, so delirious
Nice.
to the truth.
Yeah.
Here now.
Yeah. So that transition is the big one, and then into the chorus. They should have a counter melody there. Oh, nice. Okay. They followed it up though. That was good. I really like that. I like the high pitch. We're keeping the tempo from the previous course with those higher pitch supporting tracks, but we're letting Vox take the I guess the main focus, the main spotlight of the mix, and then we're still keeping like an instrumentation support, even though he's like slowing down, right? Even though he's having like a much slower vocal lines. Yeah, I really like that. I like that we have that slowdown. We have that synth kind of on that transition. It's a very reliable transition. I recommend if you're ever working on like your own song or anything and you really want to smooth out a transition and you don't know how, just try a synth. Just try a synth fade. Let's see if that works. It might not, but usually it does. Okay. That's very interesting. I was expecting him to kind of belt that out more rather than like keep it like nasal and but I like how he sounds when he kind of goes more nasal and up high. It's kind of like it feels like a color instrument, like when you play like when you hear like an oboe in a symphony or something, you latch onto that as like it's got that like kind of twang to it. It's hard to explain, but I really do like that nasal tonality that he's got there. And also the timbre of his voice. His voice is very soft. At least from what I can hear, it's almost kind of like breathy. I definitely think he kind of like expels a lot of air when he sings, and That sounds really nice when he can maintain that tonality and that like quality of voice while he's getting more nasal in his lines.
What I need, ayy. Living, sing, I'm living grit, ayy. Do it how I know, keep it real low. Living in a dream,
Mm, nice, nice. Carry over that sustained vocal. They should have kept that longer. He was doing really well. I really liked his sustained vocal there. Nice. Okay. Nice. Keep establishing that melody. Nice. All right. I think for the first half of the song, I was having trouble latching on to the melody, but by the end of the song, I feel pretty comfortable with the melody and what we have here. I'm enjoying it. So yeah, I think that was a really cool song. I really like that. Um, I do think with these like short songs and it's a spotlight trying to highlight two vocalists, it can be kind of hard to create like a large amount of variation, especially since you're kind of like I think a lot of this song was really trying to be catchy and cool while also playing between the dichotomy of the tonalities between the two vocalists. And I think they did that. They did that well. They did that very, very well. But I do think there's just some nitpicks I had that I mentioned earlier, like some of the transitions, and then also like I think that rap segment it wasn't badly done, but I do think it was just a little bit half-hearted in how it's kind of placed in there. I don't think we needed necessarily that style. I think if you wanted to do like a much more like fast tempo like rap segment, and then instead of trying to like introduce those like classic hi-hats, if we kind of led off of what we had already established in the instrumentation and really like focused on the synth, the bass pulses, and trying to play to the words that instead of trying to introduce this completely new style that we haven't really committed to previously in the song, I think that would really help the rap segment feel not only more cohesive but also feel like it belongs more. Not to say that it doesn't. I'm not saying like I didn't not like it. I just think that it would have aided the cohesiveness of the song in general, as well as just how blended that segment is in the song. And of course, there's like a lot of personal preference there. It's possible that they, they were very aware of that, and then they were like, "No, we want this to stick out more. We don't want this to be cohesive here." And they could have made that conscious decision to make it more separated and not blend the transitions and introduce that new percussive. And that's okay. That's purely personal preference at that point, right? But yeah, it's just like my personal nitpicks towards what I would personally do if I was overseeing the mix. And I think for the most part, the song really played to their strength, so it was very good. I would have liked to hear a little bit more of like Vox trying to maybe switch off with Vezalius, but I don't know how comfortable he was doing that, and I don't know if he um if that would have really come across with the same impact that Vezalius was able to create on those higher melodies. It would have been cool. It would have been a little bit cool to see. But I like it. I really enjoyed it. It's a little bit simple on the chorus melody, but I think that's okay. That's fine. I mean, they're trying to make it catchy, right? And I think there was enough variation in the rest of the mix that outside of that like chorus segment, and not to say we didn't get variation in the chorus segment, we did get some. Like not only did we get that sustained vocal from Vezalius going through it, but we also, I think that last chorus had a bit more as well, and I enjoyed that. Progression is always something you want to have, even if it's just a short song. If you're like writing a song or you're interested in making music, don't forget your progression because it's very easy to just be like, okay, copy paste, chorus, verse one, verse two, pre-chorus, and then you might forget about you might be so focused on the cohesiveness between your song segments that you might miss out on some of the more, with telling the narrative of the song and focusing on how that reflects in the music. You want to keep the song active and changing, um, and not too repetitive, even when you're trying to make it catchy. And that's hard. That's hard to do. And a lot of songs don't do that. And a lot of songs also don't want to do that. That is also personal preference. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. Thank you so much for recommending that I check this out, and I'll definitely be checking out the other NIJI Encounter songs. But feel free to recommend more things for me to check out in the comments below. Aside from that, I will see you all next time, hopefully soon. It's been a very busy summer. I'm having a little bit of trouble finding time to record, but I will be back as soon as possible. So yeah, thank you so much. Feel free to recommend more things for me to check out, and as always, I'll see you all next time. Thanks so much.